Hi, everyone. Welcome to another one of our sessions of our New Bedford Creative Career Summer Series. For those of you who do not know, my name is Jasmyn Baird. I'm the Senior Creative Fellow with New Bedford Creative, and thank you all for joining us. This series is geared to enrich, educate, and connect creatives within our community. And for most of you who are from New Bedford know that we are home to a lot of creatives, entrepreneurs, community enthusiasts, etc. And so this series wants to embrace the pulse that makes New Bedford so unique, while also expanding our knowledge and our connections. At this time, I also want to thank our funders for this program, Mass Development, TDI, and the Barr Foundation. This is just one component of a broader TDI Creative Cities Initiative to boost arts-based economic development. So before I introduce Ann Marie, I just want to go over the format of today's session. Once I'm finished, I'm going to hand it over to Ann Marie, who will present for about 15 to 20 minutes. During that time, if you have any questions while she's presenting, feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll have the last 25 minutes to address any of those questions. Also, feel free to ask questions about any specific projects you're working on as well to get the best use of this time for you. And then hopefully wrap up by 2 p.m. This session will be recorded. So we do ask that you stay on mute during the presentation. And then once we open it up to Q&A, you're welcome to come off mute. We'll shut down the recording and just have a peer-to-peer conversation at that point. And like I said, this session will be recorded and it should be posted on our YouTube within the next week on New Bedford Creative. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Ann Marie Lopes, who is a consultant, and today she'll present to us about marketing and promotion, but more specifically how to create a marketing plan. So Ann Marie, thank you so much for being here. And I'll pass it over to you to talk more about you and your background and what we'll be learning about today.
Okay, thank you, Jasmyn. First of all, I want to say thank you for everybody for coming. Any technical glitches that you see were purely planned. I just want you to know that. We wanted to make sure you were paying attention. So I've been doing this marketing for a long time, and longer than I care to say. And basically, it's a little intimidating for some people. They think, marketing plan, oh, I can't do this, I can't do it. Yeah, you can. Yeah, every part of it, you know how to do it. You just need to know how to put it all together and implement it. So without further ado, let's get into the plan. So let's start with your product definition. What is it that you are marketing? Is it you? Is it your work? What is it? Okay, because it could be that you want to give one piece of artwork, or you want to go in and you want to be a consultant somewhere, or you want to be part of a show. You need to identify whatever it is. And you need to be able to do the elevator speech. I upgraded that to the Facebook speech because you need to be able to sell to people what it is that you would like them to know. For example, your theater. The way I would identify your theater is that they are a community theater group that reaches out to the Bedford community in other areas with different programs. Now, even that was long, but I think you get my drift. It's very important that you have your target audiences, okay, based on your product. If you have your artwork that you would like to sell, then your target audience becomes potential customers, current customers. Maybe you want them to network and tell people about your work. You have people who've bought your stuff before and they want to buy it again, or you have people who have used your services before and they want to bring you in to use it again, and they refer you to friends. Educators don't know, you may want to go into the schools and come in as a special consultant, come in and do a full class. Allison Wells is perfect at this. I mean, she goes in, she does classes. She brings people into her studio to do classes with her. So she's got almost a captive audience, because here's all the wonderful stuff I do, but I have something that will benefit you as well. Gallery owners, I think that that's pretty, you want your work in there, and then fellow artists. And anybody else that you would like them to know about you or about your product, just, keep brainstorm about it because you'd be surprised what you come up with. Now, this is probably easier said than done. Your goals probably are to do things like to sell the most incredible amount of work that I have, and to have somebody put me on commission, so that everything I create, they will like, and they will sell, they will give, they will come back to me, and all of that type of stuff. But be specific about what you want to accomplish. Okay, so if you're a writer, maybe you want to do 3 articles that are published, that are printed, that are syndicated. Maybe you decide you want to start a column, those kinds of things. And then how do you measure your success? Okay. Now it could be, as I said, I sold 2 projects today. I met so many different people, that type of thing. But be as specific as you can, because then that's what it's gonna lead you to. Okay. Now, what has worked before? Because everybody, no doubt, has been doing some form of marketing. Otherwise, you would not be listening to this class. And you, with social media, this is the part that I think people need to be careful of. Say you have a website or Facebook page, and you have 21 million likes. YouTube has this too. Just all these people. But if you go into the analytics, then you look and see, well, only 5 people looked at this, or 6 people looked at this. So now you know what it is that's attracting people to look at your stuff, and what it is to draw you into it. For example, we have a game show, which I'm putting in a shameless plug for. It's called Real Smart. It's about radio. It's about television. We have a YouTube page where we can go in and we check out the analytics, and we've got past episodes up there as well. But the way that the show was set up, each show has a little skit, for lack of a better word, as an intro to the show. We went in there, we found out, yes, people are looking at the shows, but they're only looking at the first 2 minutes, because then they say, oh, the heck with the show. We like the comedy in the front. That's where we knew we had to do another thing. We had to either change our show, change the marketing so people would come in, something to keep them interested. Okay. Now you've probably been using email, constant contact. This is all good stuff. Podcast, maybe television, and your printed materials. This is what worked before. So if some of this worked before, then fine, do it again. I'm finding that with people, they're not interested in doing television. Do not dismiss television. Bedford Creative has a show where they feature artists. So if you want people to know about you, know your work, know where to find you, then that's a great outlet for it. And it doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to pay to be on television. Okay, to me, that's important. And this podcast thing doesn't mean that you need to have your own podcast, but you have friends who have podcasts. You have people that you've worked with before that have podcasts. You network. You do that. Brochures will cost you money. Let me focus on in-person events for a second. When you do in-person events, like I was at the Buy Black pop-up. Wonderful event. It was a great event. I didn't know a lot of people who were there, but they gave me lots of information. But there was one person in particular. Her name is Rosemary Williams, and she's with Mindful Melodies. Okay, she did a wonderful thing that I think everybody should be doing. I went to her booth. She had I had questions for her. She answered my questions. Of course, she told me other things about her product. I'm like, oh, gee, thank you. And then I tried to walk away, and she handed me a brochure. Okay, this brochure, it's a nice brochure. But the point being, I still have it. Okay. And I may not ever use her, but I still have the brochure. And look, I'm telling you about it. Okay. So if you put something in people's hands, they will remember you. Okay. So think about that. So when you're at festivals or pop-ups, another good thing for you to do is to have a sign up. What's the best way to reach you? People will put email, or maybe they'll put some other address. So, but you need to capture this, and then you send thank yous for stopping by my booth. This is all marketing things that you can do that's that are free, but very important because you're doing this face to face, okay, which is another form of marketing. Gallery exhibits. Yeah, I know. You're an unknown artist, and you just go up to the owner of the gallery and you say, "Hi, put my stuff in," and they say, "Oh yes, come on in." No, but that's all about you go to other exhibits, you talk to people, you network, you do that type of thing. And I know what you're saying because I said this too. There's not a whole lot of time to do what I do and also to do all of this networking. But you know what? You're doing it anyway. You're not sitting home. You're out there and you're talking to people. And you're saying you're talking to other artists. You're talking to all different kinds of people. If you have a, maybe just a card with you or something is that, I'd like to talk to you again. Can I give you my email? Can I have your email? Something like that. That's all marketing. Okay. And then of course the speaking engagements and all of that kind of stuff. So okay. So you've got your product, you've got your goals, you've seen what's worked and what hasn't worked, and you have an idea of what you want to know going to the future. So what's your message? Yes, see, now that's the one that kind of gets people said they don't know. I don't, what is my message? Somewhere in there, you know your message because you know this stuff. No one knows you, no one knows your work, and no one knows what you want to do better than you do. Okay. So the question becomes, why should you get out of yourself and you say, why should I even talk to this person? Why should I do anything to to spend my time there? Because you have a good pitch. The woman who gave me this brochure had a great pitch. And I walked away from there, as I said, with this. And I think I got away with not giving her my email address, but I'm sure she tried. Okay. Because it's what you do. Then you have to determine the distribution method. This is when you go back and you say, okay, this didn't work, or this was wonderful. Okay. Or this one, I got a lot of people, but I need to get something that gets me to my specific audience. Okay. So that's where you have to think about this. And maybe there are some distribution methods that I haven't even thought of. I haven't listed. Only you know the best way to reach your people. Oh, I mean, that's one thing that I cannot dictate to you or even suggest to you. I suppose I could suggest, but you don't need to do what I do because no one knows it better than you do. Now, how to make a lasting positive impression. Well, again, you have your materials. Let's talk about Allison Wells. Allison Wells, and it's not, I keep bringing her up. I'm not selling her, even though it seems like I am, but she does some of the best marketing I've ever seen. She has her storefront. She's participating in things like AHA. Oh, AHA. She's always active. She's doing stuff, but she's not just there with AHA. She has people, which is music in front, because that street is not very, it's not as popular, that part of it, as some of the other streets. She always makes it a destination. Okay. So there's that impression. Hey, Allison, she's had that fun stuff. Let's go and see this. And then she's there and invites you in. And of course, then you have to walk around and you see all of her work. Okay. So it's another way of getting exposure. That's what marketing is. Getting exposure for you, your product, whatever it is that you want people to see. And the other thing that she does is she has a lot of stuff on Facebook. Facebook is really good for marketing. Now, I will tell you that I really like the way The collective does their marketing for plays. And I know I just think that they're really good at what they do, because not only do they have their invitation about this is what we're doing, we'd like to have you participate, come on board, that kind of stuff, buy a ticket, we love you. But they also show some of the process. They don't show the whole thing, but they show the process, because people want to see stuff like that. They want to see part of your creative process, because then they want to come back and see the final product. So if you get people at different stages, then you get them back at the end, because they want to see it. They want to see what they've invested their time, and they want to see what happens, what the outreach was, again, with the activities. Now, these promotional methods generally cost money. The brochure, as I said, but you know what? This brochure was probably produced by her on her printer, okay? Mailings, believe it or not, people still do open their mail and do stuff like that, but I think that's less of a good investment, because yeah, it dates you and stuff, but there are far more. Social media is the way to go in that place. Third party marketing. That's the one when if you have a festival, you go, maybe you make your own festival with some of the people that with storefronts, or somebody has a storefront and you go and you're part of it. They have a big sale, they have whatever, and you're part of it. Maybe you have a station outside, and there's music or something to bring them to you. And then there are other promotional programs. Think about this. You are creative people. You are creative people. You would not be listening to this. You would not be curious about how to do this. Once you have it in your mind that this is what I'm selling, this is the way that I think works for me, and this is the goal, those steps will lead you to at least some kind of results. And that's when you get to this one. If you've had your results, okay, okay, on Facebook, I got 4 new friends. Facebook, I got 5 people reacting to this. Okay, when I was on at one of the festivals, somebody came up and said, "I saw you on television, you Bedford Creative. I heard you on a podcast." That kind of stuff you need to keep track of. Just keep track of it, because then you know how you got them, and you know what part of that worked. Okay, and the part that worked in that particular case is they got to see you face to face. Look for the surprises. Okay, maybe there's some place where you said, "I'm going to go and I'm going to meet these people and it's going to be okay," but then somebody who couldn't talk to you that day, but saw you and saw your work, said, "Hey, I want to get to know that person better. I want to get to know what they're doing." And then they contact you, and it was like, "Well, how'd you hear about me?" And then you hear about it. But don't underestimate those. Don't underestimate those connections. New opportunities. Say you go out and you've heard about, I don't know, somebody's doing a festival, or they're doing some kind of open house at their studio. And it's like, "Hey, that's a good idea." So then you kind of borrow the idea, and then you bring it to your house, your whatever, and you try to use that. That might help. But then you see, did you form new partnerships? Really? Did you meet some new people? You said, "Hey, our art is similar. Do you want to get together and do something together?" That's important to know, because partnerships are a great part of marketing. Okay, because if 3 or 4 of you are doing something together and you all succeed, then that's a wonderful partnership. So did that happen, or is that something you want to put as a future goal, future evaluation? And what did you learn? This is the biggest part, because sometimes what you learn has been very painful. But you might learn that maybe I need to package myself differently, or maybe I need to be more outgoing, or maybe I need to do more festivals. Okay. But pay attention to that. Okay. And this will all lead you to what would you do differently? If you've achieved your accomplishments, all of them, and you're so happy that you did that, why change? You might just have to expand it. I encourage people to say, okay, this worked, but how could we do it better? Or how could we have changed this? Because there are ways you could do this. So what does all this have in common? All of this from the very beginning. It's all you have to do is be creative. All you have to do is think about what it is, again, going back to the beginning, that you are trying to accomplish. Okay. And then it's who do you want to accomplish it to? Who's your audience? Okay. And what is your ultimate goal? Okay. What is your ultimate goal? What do you want to come out of all of this? And then how can I do that? That's a marketing campaign right there. That's just a marketing campaign. You could even do just the outline, on a piece of paper and write it out that way. And you will be surprised how many different ideas come to mind, how many different outlets come to mind, and how many different things that you might not have thought of before come to mind. Okay, just think about it. That's all I'm asking. It is not, I know when people think of marketing, creating a marketing campaign, they get all nervous. And the hardest marketing or PR campaign is one you do for yourself. I know that I can market anybody here. I can market you. I can give you a beautiful resume, tell you how to do this stuff, everything. But when it comes to me, panic, procrastination, it doesn't happen. So treat yourself as your client, okay? And you have come to you and said, I need your help on getting this, okay? And start from there. If there is one thing that I would encourage people to do is to somehow capture the names, contact information of everybody you come in contact with who has expressed an interest with you. If you can capture that, then you can be proactive as opposed to just giving them your card and hoping they contact you. Okay. Give people something to remember you by. And this would be wonderful if you could go up to everybody and say something memorable so that all they do is say, hey, this is wonderful. I remember that person who said this. And they said, well, and they gave me their card and I'm going to call you back. Yeah, chances of it happening that way, they're not good. But I think it's worth a try. And so my final advice to you is repeat. Go back to step one, okay? And go through if you're doing like I said, product, target audience, the method of communication. That's 3 things to keep in mind. But be careful that you need to go back and measure success all the time. What worked, what didn't work, because you do not want to be wasting your time. Okay. And whenever you can, try new strategies because it's, you never know what's going to work. And of course, then you have to evaluate everything. But I hope that helped. But that's my advice.
Thank you so much, Ann Marie. Yeah, we can open it up to Q&A now. If anyone has any questions, you can use, I think, the raise hand function.
There's a raise hand.
I believe there's a raise hand.
While we're waiting for people to ask you questions, Ann Marie, you did mention that New Bedford Creative has a television show on New Bedford Cable Access. And so I put in chat that if anyone here would like to be featured on a future episode of that, to please email me at artsnewbedford@gmail.com. What we're trying to do in that show is to go behind the scenes, to look at the process of what makes New Bedford creatives creative. So it's like a behind the scenes look sometimes we go in front of the scenes. Actually, many times we go in front of the scenes and the product's already created, and we talk to artists that way too. So,
Well, and let me interrupt you there for a second, Margot, because if you go to your local cable station, a lot of the times they have a public access channel where they do, you can do your own show. So my advice on that area is get a few of you together, you do your own show. And you get it on to an audience that most likely you would not reach. And you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised who you reach, that might never have heard of you, or you might not know exists, or
and most towns and cities have a cable access type network. Is that correct, Anne Marie?
yes, yes, or like, well, yes, this is true, or a region that they work with. And the other thing that you should know about that is that if you have a cable show that airs in New Bedford, sometimes other places throughout the state will also air it. You just have to have someone request it.